Alright, hi guys. I'm gonna show another Traxler Gambit game, and hopefully this time it'll be entertaining. Um, so we'll get right down to it. E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, knight F6, knight G5, bishop C5. Back to the same familiar position that we looked at in the first two videos. But this time, instead of d4 like in the first video and knight takes on f7 like in the second video, we're going to look at the third move, bishop takes f7 check, and so king e7. This is a game between Kruger and Mormon that was done by email 1998, and in this game white played bishop d5, although the bishop can also come back to b3. The bishop can even go to c4. There are many different legitimate ways to play this, but in general, white doesn't want to castle in this position because h6 would unfortunately win a piece. After the knight goes, the bishop drops. So that's also a typical mistake people make. Bishop d5 is probably one of the better moves. And now d6, and white plays c3. Why c3? A lot of people in positions like these online, they will immediately try to go for this knight f7 again, just because they can see black leaves it again after white vacates the f7 square. It's available again for the knight, and just instinctively people tend to go for this, although it fails pretty bad. It fails because after queen f8 and knight takes h8, well, white won a rook, but for what? At what cost? Pretty much the game after bishop takes f2 check. If they take king takes f2, fails pretty miserably after this knight check, and the queen's unleashed. King here, let's say the king goes to g1, it's just game over. So king e3 fails to king f2 check, and after king d3, knight c5 check, and the king goes on a little walk to c4, queen d4 check, king b5, and queen b4 mate. So, but we'll look at king f1 now, since this bishop is not takeable. And after bishop g4, it's game over because the queen's trapped. So white can get in a lot of trouble in these lines after queen e8. Well, that's why white played c3 instead of going for knight f7, like many amateurs would do, just without even thinking twice. So c3 was a good move, and queen e8 was also a good move for black. Black wants to get his queen out to one of these squares at some point, and by getting on these light squares, it really gives him more attacking chances on the king side, especially after white castles, which usually white castles on the king side in these variations. But d4, logical follow-up. He played c3 in order to play d4, hit the center, black takes, and white takes on c6. So black retakes with the queen, probably the better choice, just because you already have double pawns on the d file. You don't want to have double pawns on the c file, so that's why you took with the queen. And then white takes on d4, and the bishop takes on d4. And for a second it looks like, well, wait, there's nothing defending that bishop. Can't white just take it? But if white takes it, clearly queen c1, lights out. That's why white just castled in this line. And in the game, black played bishop b6, but black ended up losing that game anyway. So for the purposes of this video, we're going to look at queen c5, just because I think it's a better move, and just to show that even in these lines, black always has good chances, good practical chances at winning the game. Move like knight d2 might be best for white. And then what do you play for black here? It's a thematic move that comes up in a lot of these lines, where the knight, as long as the knight's on f6, which is bishop g4, hitting the queen, and knight to f3, knight g to f3 blocks. Bishop e5 is another good idea, I think. So the knight can't take because of this pin, obviously, and this bishop is just on a nice central square, and eventually you'll want to centralize your rooks and get the rest of your pieces into play. But this is, practically speaking, this is a good position to play. And I just wanted to briefly show that. I didn't want to show the main game where black loses, but I wanted to show this just for the purposes of an opening repertoire, which I'll go into greater detail later. But in the fourth video, I'm going to show a game between Anand and Belyevsky in the same kind of line, but much higher level game. So that'll be the next video. Thanks, guys.